Meeting to order on January 6, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in the Governor's Room of the St. Peter Community Center. This is the 155th organizational meeting of the St. Peter Public Schools. So the first meeting was April 14th, 1865, which was the same night that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So, and no pressure, but 3 of those board members went on to be governor. So definitely not going to be me. So that's half of you then. So do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we amend the 6:30 agenda to place the Students of the Month section right after the oath of office for new members of the school board, so in moving it to item 5 of our yellow sheet.
All right. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, although we'll lose half our audience, but it's fine. All right, now we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounds good. All right, we have 2 brand new school board members and 2 other recently re-elected school board members, and so all of us are going to have to not awkwardly stand over there, and I'm going to have to read this, which will be problematic, and we will recite the oath of office. So, okay. New members, if you want to join me over here. And having been present for like 6 of these, you'd think I would know better, but I don't remember what happened before. So I think just repeat after me. Having signed the acceptance of oath of office, I hereby publicly affirm.
I didn't know I had memorized it. Having signed the acceptance of oath of office.
We'll do it slowly.
How about we do
Now
that?
you're going to do it slowly.
Having signed the acceptance
Having signed the acceptance
of the oath of office,
of the oath of office,
I hereby publicly affirm
I hereby publicly affirm
my commitment to the oath of office.
my commitment to the oath of office.
I affirm that I will support the Constitution
I affirm that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and of this state,
of the United States and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board,
the duties of the office of school board,
member of Independent School District 508,
member of Independent School District 508,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Excellent. Let the minutes reflect that we did that perfectly on the first try. All right. Now we're going to call for the election of officers for the year.
Students of the month.
Oh, that's right, we amended it. Let's do the student of the month.
Mrs. Engeldinger.
Principal Engeldinger?
Yeah, I'm happy to have the high school coffee cart crew here. Some of the members of our coffee cart crew are here to talk about a project that Ms. Leifried's classroom started during the first semester of the school year that all of the teachers and staff have greatly appreciated. I'll let them, I won't steal their thunder, I'll let them just tell you the concept and then how they implemented it and how it went. I've got Alyssa Campa here. and Emma Soderlund, and their teacher, Ms. Leafried.
I'll start. So I'm Liz Leafried. We kind of started this in our class because I have some students that are nonverbal that use communication devices. So that's kind of how it sparked an idea. So the students with the communication devices are the ones taking the orders. And then these two lovely ladies expressed that they would like to work at a coffee shop. And so kind of a step before going out in the community and actually working there, we thought we'd learn those skills in the school setting first. So it's kind of a good team effort. We do it Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and our curriculum kind of goes around that because Mondays we go grocery shopping, Tuesdays and Thursdays we bake the items that we sell for the coffee cart. So we do hot chocolate, water, and coffee, and then we always have a few different bakers. So I was going to ask the ladies, what is your favorite part about the coffee cart?
Probably giving that to staff and teachers.
And Alyssa's been really good. Our regulars, she always has her orders memorized, so even before we get to them, she has everything ready to go.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Emma? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is that I do it with pride. And yeah.
All right, and what have you guys learned from this?
Patience.
Patience. So working with, there's the, two of the other students are a lot more limited abilities, so being patient with them. And what you Emma?
And then what I learned from it is you have to
Listen. They even have official aprons that they wear, saying screw.
Wow.
They didn't want to go on.
I'm trying to cover up.
That's good. So if they go around the school and to staff, they've done baking, they've got beverages, and it's just by donation. So that's how
Wow.
groceries are funded and the supplies are funded as well. So, and we are all thrilled when we see them coming around. They're also pretty good bakers.
Well, Mr. Chair, first of all, congratulations and thank you for that. But my really important question is, do you think the superintendent can ever get in on that deal? Thank you.
How about the school board?
Yeah.
It's not like we don't like baked goods.
Let us know the place.
Yeah, all right.
How long has this been going on?
This just started this fall.
Just a little bit into the school year, right? About
Yeah, it was
a month ago, maybe?
Yeah. And then we're hoping to expand. So right now it's kind of just like a regular scheduled thing that we do for an hour, 3 days a week. But then we talked about making like slips that the teachers can fill out and deliver it throughout the day.
Wow. What a great project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? So Alyssa and Emma, so now you've had your feet kind of dabbled in the coffee making business. Is it still something you think you want to do when you graduate high school? Or do you think you might want to do something different? Or you don't know? What about you, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about it?
Probably baking and delivering it.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Full service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about project-based learning at the high school especially for the last several years, and this is a perfect example of it. There's a need, hungry, thirsty staff members. And they developed an entire project and small business around that.
And I
Awesome.
think too, like, you guys have developed relationships with more staff in the building than they would have on a daily basis.
And it smells really good, I was just saying that.
That's right.
So how did these students choose to be involved? And if another student wants to be involved, how would they do that?
So when we started this, they already had it on their schedule as an employment block. So we were doing different jobs around the school at the time before we came up with this idea. So students, currently that would be in special education. If they want to sign up for an employment class, then they could sign up to do this with us.
Great.
Anybody we need to introduce in the audience?
Some of their helpers are here tonight as well. Do you want to introduce the paras that have been helpful? Saints brew. I'm more of a consumer. Than a helper.
And then she eats it, so that means. Okay, that's Andy, back over there. And this is her.
This is her.
Helping with the project as well.
Very good.
That's awesome.
So, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
the work you do.
Yeah,
We
so
appreciate
much.
it.
All right, next on the agenda is the election of officers, and I'm going to go through the process, not really for you, more for me. But any member of the board can nominate any other member. We don't need a second. I will call for nominations 3 times for each office, so if that seems weird, it's going to be weird, because that's the process. If only one candidate is nominated, I can declare them elected by acclamation, and direct that that be recorded that way in the minutes. If there's more than one candidate, we're going to do a show of hands, and then those votes will be individually recorded in the minutes like a resolution, so that if I have my hand up for a certain candidate, that will be reflected in the minutes. So that's how we're going to do it. I will stand for nominations for the office of chairperson.
I would like to nominate Ben Leonard.
Okay, do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, they're elected by acclamation. You know, I don't really want to do that for myself, so let's just do a voice vote. All those in favor of Ben Leonard as chair, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ayes carry. Thank you. Do we have any nominations for the office of vice chair?
I nominate Tim Lokenskar.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, hearing only one candidate nominated, I declare Tim Lokenskar elected to vice chair by acclamation. Moving on to clerk. Do we have a nomination for the officer of, or the clerk position? I nominate Drew Dixon. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations for clerk? Hearing none, I elect Drew Dixon, declare them elected by acclamation to the clerk position. Thank you, Drew. We'll now take nominations for the office of treasurer.
I nominate John Carlson.
Are there any other nominations for treasurer? Any other nominations for treasurer? Hearing no more nominations, I declare John Carlson elected to the position of treasurer by acclamation. And I think that closes our election of officers. We need to designate official depositories for the school district. This is where we keep our money, and this is how we pay our bills. We currently have 7 depositories, and I will read them now. First National Bank of St. Peter, Pioneer Bank, Hometown Bank of St. Peter, CCF Bank, U.S. Bank of St. Paul, Wells Fargo, and MSDLAF, which is the MSBA Investment Program, which is the Minnesota School Boards Association.
Yeah, that's the Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund.
Are you looking for a motion?
I would love a motion, John.
I move that we designate those 7 as our depositories.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Awesome. All right, hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We also need to designate an official newspaper, and our newspaper for probably all of those 155 years has been the St. Peter Herald. So do we have a motion?
I move to designate the St. Peter Herald as the official newspaper.
Great.
Second.
Thank you, Vicki. Having a motion and a second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now need to designate an auditor for the school district audit. This has been for some time Abdo Eichenmeyer. Do we have a motion?
I move to designate the auditor for our school district audit as Abdo Eichenmeyer.
Do we have a second?
I will second that one.
Awesome, Tracy.
Thank you.
You don't get anything for your first second.
Shoot.
You get in the minutes. Get in the box score. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now, we need to designate the business manager or his designee to continue to make wire transfers for the school district. And this is important so that we can have our bills paid.
I move that we designate the business manager or his designee to continue to make wire transfers for the school district.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we need to designate the superintendent to approve non-resident student agreements. So it's my understanding that when a student from outside the district wants to come here, you need to designate.
Yeah, so what happens is Minnesota has an open enrollment law that allows students to choose to open enroll in another district, but that application has to be made by January 15th of each year. If a student would choose to either come to our district or leave our district after January 15th, you need to enter into a non-resident student agreement. All of the school districts in our region routinely sign off on those non-resident student agreements because if a student would like to come here, we're more than willing to open our arms to them. And if for a reason a student would like to leave, we're going to grant that request by parents and students as well. So it's just a way to make things happen without holding everybody to that hard and fast January 15th open enrollment deadline.
I move to designate the superintendent to approve non-resident student agreements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we need to set board salaries. I was trying to get prepared for this meeting and remember exactly when the last time we changed salaries was. Was it about 5 years ago?
These were the same salaries that the school board members had in 2013-14. I can remember that.
Okay. I know that we haven't had any prior discussion about changing this for the coming year, and
I think Tim said something about $1 million for vice chair.
I don't think I said that, but it was a good choice.
That was, I misheard. Sorry, my bad.
so those salaries are currently and have been since 2014. Board chair, $400 a month. Vice chair, $200 a month. Treasurer, $300 a month. Clerk, $250 a month. And director position, $200 a month. And then a $100 a month stipend for negotiations committee members as a recognition that that is a very labor-intensive committee. Do we have a motion to set board salaries?
I move that we maintain the current board salaries as announced by the
Second.
board chair.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Now, we'd like to identify a primary legal counsel. So these are, well, Dr. Olson, do you want to expound upon that?
Sure, well, you know, the school district uses a number of different legal counsel depending upon the issue or contract analysis that might be in place. But typically, the school district has identified one primary educational law firm. And we've been using Kennedy and Graven as our law firm for the past 13 or more years. And I think they've done an outstanding job for us. And then you would also identify the individuals authorized to contact legal counsel.
I move that we select the primary legal counsel as Kennedy and Graven, and also the individuals authorized to contact the legal counsel include the chairperson, the superintendent, and the special programs or human resources administrator.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we need to set the day, time, and place of regular board meetings and study sessions. So the recommendation is to set regular meetings for the third Monday of the month at 6:30 PM in this room, the governor's room in the community center, and set study sessions for the first Monday of the month at 6:30 PM at the middle school primarily.
Yes.
In the board, correct?
In boardroom, media center, that location could change, but it has typically been in the media center, although that's open to movement within that building.
And those two rooms are joined? so-
Yes.
And then beyond that, set the January meeting for the first Thursday of the month and the February meeting for the third Thursday of the month due to conflicts with holidays.
And I would note that that's, as we move forward, the exception to that would be when there's a school board election where you would have the first Monday in January as both your organizational meeting and regular meeting. But as you look into the next year, that's not going to be the case, so it would be the third Thursday of the month in January.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I move that we set the day, time, and place of regular board meetings and study sessions as outlined, just as we did.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The last item on our organizational meeting agenda is discuss appointments to committees. The school district has a number of board committees that assist the school board in doing our regular business. So it allows smaller groups of us to take deeper dives into topics, to work more with the administrative team, and then bring those discussions and those recommendations back to be voted on by the full board. I will read the list of committees. Co-curricular Program Committee, Communications Committee, Instructional Programs Committee, Calendar Committee, Finance, Personnel, Policy Review, Negotiations, Shared Programs and Services Committee, this is the city and the school district, Gifts and Donations, School, City, County, College Committee, Community Education Advisory Committee, Legislative, Meet and Confer, Minnesota State High School League Advisory Committee, Minnesota Valley Education District, this is our board representative to the MVED board, Nicollet County Collaborative, 3-year technology plan, St. Peter Education Foundation representative, Ad hoc Facilities Committee, and the World's Best Workforce Advisory Committee. And typically, the chair appoints these in February after some discussion at MSBA. But talking with Superintendent Olson, there were a few committees that we felt we needed to get going right away. And so I did go ahead and make some recommendations and draft a slate of committee members for those committees, and I can read those for the record now. The Finance Committee, I'll be chair of the Finance Committee. Bill and John will join me on the Finance Committee. Personnel Committee will be chaired by Drew, and Vicki and myself will join him. Policy Review, Vicki, if you could chair that committee, and then Tracy and Bill will join you. Negotiations, Tim, you've been chairing negotiations. We're still in negotiations with some employee groups. If you could continue to chair that, John, if you could continue to serve, and Vicki, if you would join them by taking Bob's spot on that, that would be great. Gifts and donations, Drew, if you could chair that committee, and I'll serve along with Tracy. Legislative Committee of One, John, you've been doing that, and the legislature's about to go back in session, so we wanted to keep you on that. And then Tracy, if you would serve as our board representative to the MVED board, that would be great. And like I said, the rest of these we'll work on and announce in February. I think that's it for the organizational meeting. So if there's a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, organizational meeting is adjourned. And because I'm so bad at running a meeting, we only have to wait 3 minutes for the next meeting. So we will begin the regular board meeting at 7, as it says in the agenda.
I would like to have the school board members, and Kurt, you're out there, aren't you, somewhere? Then we could have our new school board, all 7 of you, pose for a picture so we can get a press release out. Kurt, you can figure out how to convene these folks.
Do we have to stand? So,
I was like, what?
it's another meeting.
And I was just gonna put the new members. Slide
How do you want us?
I'm gonna have you stand in the wall. I was thinking of having how many new members in there? I have you guys sit in the front of the file. Just have those guys sit in chairs. Would that work? It's kind of what we used to do in the city.
You want to plant the flag if you want?
Let's kind of, can you move the flag at least just for temporary? And then, otherwise, it's gonna be, we gotta figure out where would be best center. Oh, you got a chair. Okay. And you guys can scoot this way a little bit. And then, yeah, John's good. Drew, you just Ben, make sure you're kind of centered. Right here. There we go.
Okay.
All right, there will be a flash, so. All right, here we go. Big smiles on the cue. Whoops, that snuck out. All right. Big smile. Yes, John. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna try with that. Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Good deal. Oh, and then let me get a picture of you. So yes.
Together?
Yeah, you choose.
Did you have to work at 6:30 a.m. like you did, or 6:15?
No, I work tonight
Hey, Kurt,
Sure. Oh, okay. That's cool.
Are you ready for all this?
I don't know, after the
These
old
are minutes.
It's like, what?
I hear your trip to Florida, you forgot your driver's license.
That would be, so I carry it with me like this.
Okay. That sounds good. So you're gonna do it?
Good idea.
Okay, good.
Did they go home?
So that
No, you can just.
what do you mean 5F?
We'll wait on that one, just in case.
Yeah, that's, yeah, sorry.
No, that's
I only speak in alphabet when it comes to consent agenda.
You saw nothing?
So this is.
Now you did. We gotta talk to Sarah.
Okay, okay.
Oh, like a request to speak? Probably, yeah, I would give it over to the chair.
Okay. So we'll probably.
We're gonna,
I would just get up and walk.
Okay.
Makes it more important.
Okay, 'cause it's done. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just receive it and thank you. Pass it along. I could, they can. I mean, rarely do we have someone
Well,
who's
see
like,
what happened, she
Jeez.
on December 20th, and then there was no way to do any paperwork.
that needed.
So we just called him and said, can you just fill in? Or you could have the job. Well,
Painless, right?
Which we've been talking about, I just wanted
first-
to do
first
1
meeting.
or 2 days, but I don't know. And I said, well, whatever. But I said, we're going to hire him, and she goes, yeah. So then we met
Every time.
The other day, and I said, I don't want this job.
Oh, that'll be exciting one for you. You got
Good
good
news.
news.
I fill in for the nurses.
Your first meeting, it would be exciting for you.
And so, yeah, so they,
Yeah,
she's
you gotta go.
gonna take him. I don't know.
Speaking of nurses, is Mary Powers?
Yeah, she's just working for her.
Yeah, no, easy peasy. Easy peasy. Usually, I mean,
Yeah, she's working.
we've seen
She works
most of the
So I was.
It always kind of
for
struck
some
me
of them,
that this
and then
looks to be just like a bit of a,
But now she's
like
back.
to the public, this probably just looks like a rubber
Gotcha.
stamp time. But a lot of the stuff we've hashed out, like goodies and
we have to do this again. Huh?
weird, and, it doesn't get here unless it's pretty solid. So, well,
It was.
Cap.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. You go to the consolation. All right.
All right, I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the St. Peter's School Board to order. It is Monday, January 6th at 7 p.m. in the Governor's Room of the St. Peter Community Center. I'm the chair of the school board, Ben Leonard, and welcome to the meeting. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
so moved.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will consider any requests to speak to an agenda item. If you wish to speak to an agenda item, I believe there are cards in the back, and you can write your question on the card and get it to Sarah, and we can address that at the time of that agenda item. So, next is the approval of consent agenda items. And this is where I try and read the consent agenda. So often it's a long list, so just bear with me. Item 1, approve the regular board minutes of December 16th, 2019. Approval of the special board meeting minutes of December 18th, 2019. Approval of bills in the amount of $1,987,730.89 for December 2019.
Mr. Chair, it was a tight schedule, but the bills are in order.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Treasurer Carlson. Personnel, the acceptance of the resignation of a special education paraprofessional at the St. Peter Middle School effective December 20th, 2019. The acceptance of a long-term disability leave for a teacher, at North Elementary from January 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020. The approval of the hiring of a head cook at St. Peter Middle School effective December 16th, 2019. This is a replacement position. The acceptance of the resignation of the Youth and Development and Enrichment Coordinator at the St. Peter Community and Family Education Office effective December 16th, 2019. The approval of the hiring of an interim school age care coordinator with St. Peter Community and Family Education. This is an interim replacement position. The approval of hiring of an afternoon SAC assistant substitute at North Elementary. The acceptance of a resignation of a SAC school age care assistant with the St. Peter Community and Family Education Office effective December 20th, 2019.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could we pull item F off of the consent agenda for discussion?
We sure can. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda except for 5F?
So moved.
Any second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
As to item F, I think, Dr. Olson, I was hoping that you could give just a clarifying note on that position.
Well, sometimes there are questions about when a school board member would serve at any school district employment position. And school board members may serve in school district employment positions, but there are earning limitations. And I believe that the earning limitation is $8,000 a year. So in this particular case, Vicki Hager has been recommended as the approval of an afternoon SAC assistant substitute that will not exceed that $8,000 per year limit, but we thought we should pull that out and explain that so that there wouldn't be any questions, because there sometimes is the belief that a school board member cannot work for the school district, and that's not true, but there are earning limitations there.
With that, I move that we accept item 5F on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to student spotlight. We have Representative Alex Bocanegra, and she can give our student council report and introduce herself. So.
Yeah, so, you don't know me already. I'm Alex Bocanegra. I am Student Council Co-President with Izzy Lind. And so far what we've been doing, I think the Friday before we went on our holiday break, we were able to successfully deliver all of the Love Your Melon hats, which we started selling. And we were able to deliver to all of the schools and get order forms out for them. And then with that, we have discussed to possibly start selling at games, also for parents and anyone else who didn't get the chance to buy. And then we are also having this Thursday a Pet Fest for people. Well, P4T is having the Pet Fest, which is the Escape the Vape, and that one, they are partnering with Cambria, and then so that will be the kickoff for their campaign. And then we are starting early planning for Snow Week, and we're figuring out different activities that we can do to involve students in all schools. And yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair. So how was it getting back in the school seat today? Was it easier, or was it wow, this wasn't long enough break? Or?
A lot of us were very anxious to come back, so I will say a lot of us could not sleep last night. But yeah, no, the excitement was definitely there. We were definitely ready to come back. And yeah, you could just tell, first class, a bunch of people, I haven't seen you in so long, hugging and just ready to start
Good.
school again.
Keep chasing that feeling till mid-March.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
I would say until June.
So is that a recommendation for the calendar committee to shrink that break by a week or so?
Oh, you get to definitely tell that we appreciated the long break. But yeah, we loved it.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on. I will note that the Student of the Month, we visited with them during our opening meeting. So, but now moving on to action items. It's now time to consider approval of the high school course program changes for 2020-2021 and middle school grades 7-8 exploratory rotation for 2020-21. So, who wants to?
So, Mr. Chair, maybe just a bit of a brief background. The process for setting elective offerings and course changes starts in part with the curriculum review cycle, but in addition to that, there are times when there are some course modifications that are suggested for the high school registration or middle school registration process. Those generally start with department, faculty kinds of meetings and discussions, and then those recommendations are all shared with the Instructional Program Committee. The Instructional Program Committee met on December 19th, and Mrs. Engeldinger and Mr. Graff reviewed those proposed changes, and so they're here tonight to share those again, and the Instructional Program Committee members can reflect on their take on those recommendations.
Yeah, I'll start with the high school tonight, if that's okay. You'll notice, those of you who have been through this before, you'll notice this is there are 3 pages of either new course offerings or new course titles and descriptions just because of new instructors. And so I'm not going to go through every single course on here for you. Those of you who are on that committee, we talked about them for a nice long time. But I will say that the teachers and their excitement about new classes has really been sparked because of the facilities. We're still getting our feet wet with figuring out how to make the best use of the spaces that we have. And you'll see those reflected in the new classes, especially in the world of CTE with Saints Manufacturing. The addition of 2 teachers who will have their work-based learning license. We're really able to push our Saints Manufacturing Academy forward with that. We're really excited about those. Another new course, which we want to be able to put it in the registration book. Our PE department is going through curriculum review time right now, but you'll notice that Unified Saints Phi-Ed class is looking for approval right now because we can't offer a new course until, of course, the board has approved it. So that's something that they're working on right now. The other one, especially based on the space that we have right now, is the second of our media productions class, and that would be running concurrently with the introduction class as well. So kids who have taken that intro to Saints, I have to put my glasses on for this to see exactly what we're calling it, Saints Media Production. Those kids who are really caught the bug during that first class will have an opportunity to work on some more advanced projects. Our science department is always looking ahead for new classes, and you'll note that we don't put in here any that are coming out of the book. So most of these will be offered every other year with classes that we already have. An example would be that Science of Mindsets and Nutrition. We're planning on offering every other year opposite our biotech class. It keeps numbers up in those classes, and kids who are science-minded have an opportunity to take a lot of great science classes. The rest of these are just course name changes.
Maybe I missed it, but we might want to talk about the additional concurrent.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that reminder. We're also excited. We hope to be able to offer 2 new concurrent enrollment courses, one music appreciation, possibly 3, one music art appreciation, and hopefully a health class. Those have been moved forward to Minnesota State University Mankato right now, and so we're just waiting to find out if our instructors will be approved to teach those classes. That's an exciting opportunity for our kids. We're extremely close to being able to have articulation credits for kids, which means that if a student from St. Peter attends a MNSCU school, their entire first year of with all their general credits would be covered while they were in high school, if they're purposely taking those classes in order to do that.
And maybe just as an explanation, particularly for people who might be watching, and a lot of people watch, by the way, for new school board members. This is a big time deal for them. They think it's nice viewing. So kind of talk about, how concurrent enrollment works.
Yes. Concurrent courses are taught by St. Peter High School teachers who are qualified to teach college classes. Currently, that means that they have their master's degree. By the year 2022, those teachers will have to have their master's degree either in content area or a master's plus at least 18 credits in content area. The majority of our teachers who are already teaching these courses will qualify under those requirements already. But some are working on taking those additional 18 credits right now, because we really feel that this is a great deal for kids. A lot of kids are already entering their freshman year of college with an entire semester's worth of credits under their belt, which is a significant cost savings to their families as well. The other consideration is that those grades are the first on their college transcript as well. So they take them seriously, they're rigorous, but they also have the help of a teacher who knows and cares about them.
I know my kid was very excited for the next media class.
Oh, good.
So
That's great. Yeah, that's been
I think that
fun class.
the public that are so engaged right now on TV and in the audience also, have seen the new facilities, and so when we talk about those, I think that it's easy to envision great stuff that could happen in those media labs or the theater or our science labs in those places. I think another key part of the new high school that a lot of people might not know about too is the shared office plan. So when I went to school, my teacher was in their room probably for most of the day, and when we were in the old building, that's the way the high school worked too. And now they share classrooms and they office together, and there are different disciplines close to each other, and I think that that's facilitated a lot of conversation that I think have led to collaborations and
I agree, yeah.
explorations
Yep.
like this.
They have an opportunity to talk to their colleagues and brainstorm and dream about how it could be, and it's really moved things forward.
Mr. Chair, I think I'm on the instructional program and listened to the presentation. One of the great things I think that the district is doing is slowly moving away from advanced placement classes and into more concurrent enrollment classes, which are more widely accepted even beyond MNSCU schools. Working at a private college, I know we accept many of those credits as well. So I think that's a great move for our district.
Mr. Chair, the other thing I do want to just delve a little bit more into, really excited about Saints Manufacturing.
Yeah.
And so the idea is to have a student-run business that operates the entire business array of things, from manufacturing to marketing to the business end of it to making sure that there's quality control. All of those aspects are in place, and so Mrs. Engeldinger and team have been working hard with intentional business industry partners, and we hope at our February meeting to bring at least one of those formal partnership agreements to you for your consideration and hopefully approval.
Yeah, that class is exciting. Not only will the kids have the opportunity to have this intentional partnership and work with an outside manufacturer, but also potentially come up with their own products.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And with our new equipment, You know, currently we have the new plasma cutter. You know, we're always looking forward to the next, the next thing. But with that, the new equipment has also made that possible.
So I don't really know how this works. If I just ask you if I can
Yeah,
ask
go
her
for
a
it.
question then? I have a lot of questions, but what I want to know is, I know there was some change in the sciences and doing physics first, and
Yes.
what's the feedback been on that, and how have those ninth graders been doing, and the other grades, and how's that all working out?
You know, the biggest benefit that I've seen, and I hope that science teachers would agree, is that almost every science teacher is now teaching that physics class, and teaching. Almost everyone is teaching chemistry. Excuse me. Because of that, because of the switch, we don't have biology for this 1 year.
Okay.
And so the idea of a PLC having the opportunity to all work together on the same course has been a benefit that was kind of unforeseen from that. The ninth graders are doing great.
Okay.
You know, I think that it remains to be seen, especially because we won't be doing science MCAs this year, because those are taken the year that students are in biology. So hopefully we'll be able to see the results through that, and probably the math MCAs as well.
And Mr. Chair, and Mrs. Engeldinger, I think there's one other thing you might want to mention is that accelerated ninth grade science. That's a part of the proposal as well.
That's an addition. Probably a single section. It'll end up being a single section of kids who are truly high flyers science-wise coming into the high school, and that will give those kids an opportunity to get both their physics and chemistry done in the same semester. So they really do truly have to be motivated science math kids. But it also, when you look at all of those science offerings that we have at the high school, it'll give those kids an opportunity to move through even more of those. You know, otherwise, when you look at some of these great classes, as well as we have science classes, you can earn science credits in our through our Ag Academy as well. It gives kids more of an opportunity to take more science.
And the other thing I would mention that is, I think, is important is, as you indicated, some options or credit offerings are not taken out of the course registration guide, but students, they basically tell us what they want by how they register.
Yep.
And so we're really not talking about significant staffing increases or equipment increases. These fit within our existing staff, and
Correct.
the courses will be the ones offered that students and parents and families say that they want their kids to take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing Mark sitting in this chair saying rigorous and relevant. And I think that's the easiest way to gauge relevance is what kids sign up to do themselves. So. Thank you, Principal Graff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a little background. When we implemented our block schedule for this school year, one of the nice things about it is we were able to create a 6-week exploratory rotation. So our 7th and 8th graders roll through 6-week courses. And those exploratory courses are designed to supplement our core courses and also provide some hands-on opportunity with those 21st century graduate portrait skills. So in that 6-week rotation, the first 4 rotations are kind of your traditional exploratory courses in a middle school, your art, your facts, your health, and your STEM. The last 2 of those 6 rotations, we've created elective options for students within those departments. So this year we're running sculpture, which is our art elective, foods around the world, which is our facts elective, first aid CPR certification, health careers, which is our health elective, and then design and production, which is our STEM elective. Because those courses are offered to both 7th and 8th graders, we need to rotate those courses every other year to provide kids with 4 new options. So our proposed courses for next year for those exploratory elective options are art and cultures, which is our art elective, food, art, and cooking techniques, which is our facts elective, mental health and mindfulness, which is our health elective, and then environmental technologies, which is our STEM elective.
That's great. I think the CPR class is so important too. I was at a meeting today at my day job, and we offered CPR training for some of our staff, and one person recently got certified as a trainer, and the day after that class saved someone's life. He was out at an event, and somebody needed CPR, and he administered it, and everything worked out. So you never know when when you need it. But.
So you can determine to take each of these separately with a motion and a second, and then a consideration and vote, or you could do both together. It is a pleasure of the board as to how you'd like to move.
I move to approve both the high school course and program changes for the 2021 school year, as well as the middle school grades 7th and 8th exploratory rotation for the 2021 school year.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Excellent. Hearing a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah.
I have no discussion.
Okay.
Aye. I'm just saying, that's for
Thanks.
discussion.
All right.
Good job, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Consider approval of a resolution to proceed with budget planning process.
Yeah, as a part of the annual budget process for the school district, we, in the January meeting, asked the school board to direct the administration to develop budget plans for the next school year. The keys to building that budget plan include what your fund balance goal is. You currently have a 60-day general fund unassigned fund balance goal. The enrollment projections, and we're very close to getting our demographic study completed from Hazel Reinhardt Consulting. So that'll be important information to take into place. And then the anticipated funding level provided by the state of Minnesota, and in addition to that, the federal government. So it is a part of that process is a formal request and a resolution to basically direct the superintendent and administrative team to begin developing budget plans to meet that budget goal within those kinds of assumptions about expenditures, state revenue, enrollment, and fund balance.
I move that we consider the resolution to proceed with budget planning, with the budget planning process from our administration and superintendent.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. I learned. All right. All those.
Resolution.
Oh, resolution. That's right, man. All right. A resolution will start with Director Hager.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Resolution passes. We're on action item 3. Consider approval of Dr. Soderlin donation, and I'll let Dr. Soderlin speak about.
Well, thank you, members of the board, and Dr. Olson. The purpose of the donation is for professional development for paraprofessionals, and I have a statement I just would like to read if you'd indulge me, but thank you for the opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous contribution paraprofessionals make to our school district. Paraprofessionals play a vital role in public education and are extensively employed throughout the St. Peter School District. Their job duties are as varied as the children they serve. Paraprofessionals support our students academically, emotionally, and physically. They assist children with reading and math, then turn around and help prevent a conflict. They supervise the playground, then help a student with special needs use the restroom. We ask a lot of our paraprofessionals, and they consistently step up to meet the needs of our children and youth. Together with our teachers and administrators, paraprofessionals help to provide a high-quality education in a safe, caring environment. Their passion and commitment are evident. As a school district, we have an opportunity to help our paraprofessionals more effectively help our students. I believe that by improving paraprofessional development and training, we will improve the lives of every student attending the public school. I ask you to please join with me tonight in recognizing and honoring the exceptional support paraprofessionals provide for our students. And thank you, paraprofessionals, for your passion. Thank you, paraprofessionals, for your commitment. And thank you, paraprofessionals, for helping our students.
Well said, Director Soderlund. Thank you.
Very nice.
Just as kind of a process piece behind that, and thank you very much for that amazing donation and for recognizing our paraprofessionals for the work that they do. Very much appreciated. Any gift of over $10,000, or excuse me, over $5,000 requires that that gift be reviewed by the Gifts and Donations Committee, and that the Gifts and Donations Committee recommend that that gift be accepted by the school board. The Gifts and Donations Committee met on December 19th, and I'll let the Gifts and Donations Committee members speak to that, but have made a recommendation to accept that gift. And then to proceed with a motion to direct the superintendent and administrative staff to work with the paraprofessionals in developing professional training opportunities to better meet the needs of students.
I move to approve Dr. Soderlund's donation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair, in gifts and donations, we talked about different ideas of how this funding will be used, and I think the administrative team, or more directly, Dr. Olson, has a good plan in place that will enhance their growth as fellow educators with their teachers. So.
And as Dr. Soderlund said, I think through our discussions and through that committee, just learned that you're giving this donation out of respect and honor of paraprofessionals. You're not saying you do this particular training. There are no preconditions, conditions, or limitations. It is up to the school district to direct how this be used for professional development, and I really thank you for that. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, paraprofessionals. Item 4, consider approval of the 2019-2020 World's Best Workforce Goals.
As our group is coming up and going to provide an explanation of the goals, just give you, again, a little bit of background. The World's Best Workforce has really 5 pillars to it. One is having all students ready for kindergarten when they enter kindergarten. A second is having students reading at grade level by 3rd grade. A third is closing the achievement gap for all of our identified student groups in the school district. A fourth is career and college readiness. And a fifth is having all students graduate on time with their classmates. So I think those are really, really good goals. The process in dealing with these goals, it seems a little bit, like out of order in a sense when we're sitting in January and we're talking about 2019, 2020 goals. The team, the administrative team and teachers and others, all staff members have been working through the professional learning community process on the development of goals in all of these areas since the data retreat that occurred in early August. But one of the things that is that slows us down a bit, to be totally honest, is our data collection points. And those data collection points are often outside of our control. So as an example, we can't really determine how many kindergarten students are ready for kindergarten until we get them into kindergarten and have an opportunity to assess them. So that generally takes a good, month to 6 weeks before we get our baseline data of kindergarten readiness. Our ACT test results used to be released in early August, and Mrs. Engeldinger, we received our ACT test results.
I don't think we got them until early November.
Early November.
This year?
So, if in a perfect world, MCA results would be on our hands in June. We got our MCA results, Mr. Doherty, in the end of August.
Yeah, and this next year, they're set for the middle of August again.
So, you know, the process does move forward. It does involve many, many stakeholders in setting the goals, but that's the reason why the final goals get presented to you in either that December or January timeframe, because of those data collection points. So with that, we'd like to have each of our administrators responsible for those goal areas review through those goals with you and then stand for any questions that you might have.
All right, well, we'll start with Every Child Ready for Kindergarten, and as you may recall, in past board meetings, I've presented data related to the kindergarten checklist and students coming into kindergarten. In your board packet, you'll see two goals listed. The first was the 18-19 goal, and that stated that the percent of children who enter kindergarten in the fall of 2018 reported as averaging at or above level in areas assessed in the kindergarten entrance checklist will increase to 80%. And so that's just background information. We did achieve that goal. We actually achieved 83.75%. So then that leads us to the 2019 goal. That first sentence there is just stating that that was the number of students, the percentage of students who were at or above level. And then for fall of 19, the percentage of children who enter kindergarten this fall, 2019, reported as averaging at or above in the areas assessed on the kindergarten entrance checklist will increase to 85%. So certainly that data has been collected. It's tallied actually at this point because they're all kindergarten checklists, and so the actual calculation is in process. But that is our goal then. We're hoping to increase from 83.75 to 85% for this fall. Any questions about that goal? School readiness.
Okay, the goal that I'm responsible for is the third grade literacy goal, and that's tied into the Read Well by Third Grade initiative from MDE. And as part of that, we have a literacy plan that we've put together district-wide. And this year, as you're aware, we spent a great amount of money for new curriculum, as well as a tremendous amount of staff development in preparing the staff to teach in a different way with these materials. So it is our hope that with all of this, the hard work that's going into it and what we're seeing, the response from the students, that third graders will achieve 80% on the MCAs or MTES assessments.
The third component of the world's best workforce is the closing of the achievement gap, and that's the part that I'm responsible for documenting and helping to write a goal for. The goal that we're looking at for the current school year is a little more lengthy. We need to, when we look at achievement gaps, we have to constantly compare two groups of students. So when we close the achievement gap, both sets of students have to improve. They have to show improvement, and one has to improve at a higher rate than the other. So the one that we're looking at setting for 1920 is the proficiency gap between students not receiving free and reduced lunch and students receiving free and reduced lunch, enrolled for at least half of the school year in grades 3 through 11 in St. Peter schools using all state reading accountability tests, so that'd be the MCAs and the MTES, will decrease. So we want that gap to decrease from 29.1% in 2019 to 20% in 2020 by increasing proficiency rate in the groups as follows. So students not receiving free and reduced lunch from 69.6% in 2019 to 71.6% in 2020. And then students receiving free and reduced lunch from 40.4% in 2019 to 51.6% in 2020.
First of all, I have to apologize. The percentage sign in here shouldn't be there. Those are average scores, not percentage scores. Currently, our main goal for college and career readiness is an ACT composite score goal. We're also really talking about adding a secondary goal in this area around our area of CTE, and so something like the number of students who earn a certification in vocational areas as well, to increase that by a certain percent. But we're still talking through that with teachers and our BLT and admin team. But I think that having that secondary goal, or not even a secondary goal, especially when we're working on this next year, is equally as important as those those ACT scores. And then I say it every time, but it pains me to have a graduation rate goal that is anything less than 100%, because obviously that's what we would like, but we already have an incredibly high graduation rate. It's not at 100% yet, but last year it was at 95, and this year we would like to increase it by 1 percentage point to 96%.
Principal Engeldinger, of that 94.1%, that's the graduated. How many of those students ultimately do go on to graduate?
Most do, and in a school our size, we know exactly who they are, and so we're in fact starting to work with them right now. There's the list of kids who might be credit deficient at this point that our student services team is pulling in. We're working with their parents to let them know what the plan is to get them across that stage with the rest of their class. But sometimes we're talking to kids too about the most important thing is getting that diploma. Even if it's not on the same evening as the rest of their class, the majority who are left will finish during summer school that very next summer. The state has changed, and they're also they've got a 4-year and a 7-year, and it makes more sense at that point for kids that just might need. A lot of kids come to us credit deficient more than used to, so it makes sense to extend that graduation rate a few years out sometimes too.
And Mr. Chair, I'd also mention we're doing a lot of work with the Area Learning Center in terms of kind of recalculating how we have credit recovery. The discussion is out there about adding a second alternative classroom at Rock Bend High School. Those options all keep students in school, which is where we want them, so that they have that better chance of graduating and being successful and moving on in life.
Yeah.
In a school our size, 3 students, that's over 1% right there. So.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Very nice. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the World's Best Workforce Goals?
I'll make a motion to approve the World's Best Workforce Goals as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That ends our action items for the evening. We'll move on to information items and superintendent search timeline. So, Superintendent Olson.
In your packet, you have a draft superintendent search timeline that you will be asked to formally consider and adopt, and you may decide to modify that at your special meeting, which is set for Thursday, January 9th, this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in the Middle School Media Center. But just to note a couple of things, the stakeholder online survey opened today, January 6th, and that stays open through January 24th. Now, we're getting that information out in a number of different ways, but it currently is out on the school district website. The staff information has been sent to staff with the links, and people are beginning to fill those surveys out. We will be working with our cultural liaisons, so our Somali liaison and our Latino liaison, to translate the surveys into both Somali and Spanish. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is that we may need to do some focus groups with our populations, our Somali population and Latino population, because it's not always easy, even though the surveys are translated, to access those surveys on websites and other areas. So we'll be working with our liaisons on that area. There are a series of meetings upcoming on January 21st and January 23rd. There'll be staff meetings, there'll be a meeting with the administrative team, there'll be a meeting with high school students, and there'll be community meetings on both of those nights. On January 21st, there'll be a community listening session in the high school commons, and on January 23rd, there will be a community listening session in the middle school media center. Those listening sessions will be facilitated by representatives of the Minnesota School Boards Association Superintendent Search Team. And we certainly would encourage anybody who is interested to certainly fill the survey out, but also attend those community and staff listening sessions. Then on February 3rd, you will have another special meeting, and that will be designed to develop interview questions and interview procedures. That's part of the rationale and reason that we talked about also making sure that we had members of the Personnel Committee. The Personnel Committee may be looking at doing some legwork on reviewing different methods of receiving public input or public participation, staff participation in the interview process. The application deadline is February 24th, and then the first round of interviews are March 5th and 6th. Second round of interviews March 12th. The goal is then by March 16th at your regular school board meeting to have an employment contract in front of you to approve for the superintendent of schools for the St. Peter School District beginning July 1st, 2020. So you may have some other comments, any of you, or questions any of you want to make about that, but we wanted to make sure we ran through that timeline. And again, you'll be asked to formally approve or modify and approve that timeline at your special meeting on this Thursday.
I saw the survey was out on the school's Facebook page. Are they, I'm guessing they're gonna be doing like a Infinite Campus, like blast out to all the parents? Are we gonna like advertise, I mean, how are we reaching people to get them to do that survey?
So thank you. It's going to get me right to my, so what we've done is we've done a press release to local media, so that includes the St. Peter Herald, the Free Press, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 radio stations in the area, KEYC Television, the St. Peter Chamber of Commerce. They do a blast that goes out. We're hoping that people retweet and have their Facebook followers get on that. We know that social media is a great way to get at people. But then in addition to that, we also are going to be, as I mentioned, doing some focus groups with our diverse student or parent and community populations. We also will have paper copies of the survey available for anybody who doesn't have the electronic means to take the survey, and we would send those out with a self-addressed stamped envelope to have those surveys returned. And yes, Board Member Stewie, as you indicate, we will be doing that in email blast. And one of the things that we're waiting on there is we need to get some things translated into both Somali and Spanish so that that information can be noted to folks. But really trying to make sure that we have as many means as possible to get that message out. I know that Kurt Hildebrand, who is our school information and marketing coordinator, is also looking at connecting with the banks to put a message on their bank billboards that would indicate, where survey information can be found. So if you have other ideas, we're certainly open to anything else to figure out how to get that message out there.
I would really like to see at the high school and maybe the middle school too, for sure the high school, if they could have maybe time during, I don't know if they still do, what do they do, Saints time or PLP or whatever they're calling it these days, maybe just try to instruct them to fill out the survey, give them some time at school to do it. It might be kind of interesting to see what the students, yes.
Yeah, that's good. Mrs. Engelby.
Alex, any thoughts about that or anything else?
Well, we did enjoy Dr. Olson. He came and spoke to the student council on like ideas that we could bring up with that, and then just like have like student involvement in that also, because I know a lot of students really have good ideas that they wish that they could bring up and everything. So I think that's a really good idea to bring up to students.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. And as Dr. Olson said, this is an information item tonight, and it'll be an action item on Thursday. Time for a yearly comparison report of enrollment options.
Yeah, so on an annual basis, you get a report on lots of information about enrollment. There's a mandatory report that has to be made in December to the Minnesota Department of Education. You had that in your December board meeting. But then in the January board meeting, we typically do an overall comparison. And I just want to highlight 4 points for you. There's data in your packet that backs that up. The first is that when you take a look at the percentage of students who are eligible to be students in the St. Peter schools, we now have 86% of all students that are eligible attending St. Peter schools. That is the highest percentage number, or in another way of thinking of the lowest percentage of total enrollment out since 2007 and 2008. So I think that's really a really important point to make. In terms of public to public school, that would be open enrollment in, open enrollment out. We had a net change of plus 43 in open enrollment in from the 2018-19 school year to the 2019-20 school year. So that's, again, really positive. In terms of other enrollment options, and this is something that really has changed in the last 25 or so years. There's really all kinds of choices for students in terms of how they want to have their education and receive their education. From open enrollment to superintendent or to non-resident tuition agreements. We have 25 high school options within 25 miles of here. I mean, it's just amazing. Then you look at charter school options, you look at online options, you look at parochial school options, you look at homeschool options, you look at post-secondary enrollment options, which allow students to take courses at colleges and universities and technical colleges. There are just a ton of different opportunities there. So we think that we're showing that we're attracting and keeping more students in our school district, which is certainly something that we want to do. We want to be the school district of choice in this region, and I think that we're showing that we're moving in that direction. So just wanted to highlight those pieces, and I'd certainly stand for any questions, or you may have some other comments or observations that you'd like to make as well.
I would add that when students that live in our district opt out for a different option, we do survey them. And,
yeah, we're in fact in the process of completing those survey results, this month. So we're really looking to say, if you choose to leave our school district, we'd like to know why, and if there's something we can do to change that. And if you ever consider that you'd like to come back to our school district, our doors are wide open, and we'd love to serve you.
thank you. Move on to our last information item, fund balance tracker.
So on a biannual basis, you receive an update on the changes that have occurred since you adopted your preliminary budget at your June school board meeting. So you adopt that preliminary budget, and then a number of things happen throughout the year, and typically we move then to a formal adoption of a revised budget in April, and then you're back to a new preliminary budget for the next school year in June. But if you have in your packet a list of 12 items that have been board approved that have occurred since the adoption of your preliminary budget in June. And those 12 items total $200,000. And so once in a while, before we started to move to this budget tracker, we would get questions at the board table, and they were good questions like, wow, how did our budget go up by $200,000? And we're not talking about negotiated settlements or anything like that. These are other items. So the City of St. Peter improvements that we share with our Community Spirit Park, that's $25,000. The transportation contract, which had been flat for a number of years, increased by $52,000. We had added some school readiness positions. That also is in line with the World's Best Workforce goal of having all students ready for kindergarten. We you authorized significant professional development in both the area of math and English language arts. $54,000 in the summer of 2019 and another $8,000 in June of 2020 upcoming. We had some middle school paraprofessional hours change. That's approximately $2,000. You have a superintendent search process of $7,500. The demographic and housing and enrollment study of $5,000. We needed to create some larger space for our middle school STEM program. So at the MEA break, we switched some rooms around, and that required some additional purchase of equipment. That was at approximately $4,000. You have a school board election, which is $10,000. And then we estimate care and treatment expenses at approximately $24,000. So those are students that are placed outside of our district in residential care and treatment centers. And so it's hard to predict what those expenses would be, but when a student does get placed in a situation or a setting like that, they are expensive programs to operate. So that's our first 6 months of the year budget tracker, and typically that's when you have the most of those increased expenses, but there'll be some additional expenses that we'll track in the next 6 months as well. So, questions from anybody?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and making it sound like just want to make sure I'm understanding. So this is just amounts that are beyond what we had anticipated in our budget? Is that what the budget tracker is?
They're things that were we always called them expected but unanticipated.
Okay.
So we always know that you're going to have these, but we don't account for those in the preliminary budget because we haven't seen what those expenses
Okay.
might be.
Thank you.
And we all, the school board voted on them prior,
Oh.
but this is a good way to remind us
Gotcha.
that we
Right.
did agree to spend $200,000.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Good questions.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you. On to reports. Principals.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Today was the first day back, obviously, and you kind of wonder with preschoolers, like, where you're going to be, if they're going to be sad, if they're going to... They were so excited. They came off the bus, happy as can be. Parents were practically skipping into the building. It was amazing. So, yeah, it felt right... Yeah, and out. Fell right back into the routine, so that was good to see. To kind of make January feel a little bit shorter, we've got some field trips planned. Some of our classes are going in January, and some will be going in February and March to the Children's Museum in Mankato, so that's always an exciting time. And then on January 16th, we'll be holding our second early childhood screening for the year. And just as a reminder to folks out there that early childhood screening is required prior to kindergarten entrance. Children ages 3 to kindergarten entrance should be screened. And if they need an appointment, to certainly call our office. We still have openings, and we'll have another screening in April this year.
All right, and a couple of things that we have coming up at South. Next week, we will start our FAST benchmarking. We do that 3 times a year. The first couple of weeks after school starts. We will do it for the next couple of weeks. Starting next week, it'll take us about 2.5 weeks to get everyone assessed in both reading and math. And then we do it again at the end of the year. And that's one of those data points that Dr. Olson was talking about. And we also have a parent council meeting coming up next Monday night that we would like to invite all parents to. And our 2 speakers next week will be Ileana DeReamer, who is our ELL teacher. She'll be sharing a little bit about what the access assessment is what that looks like for our students, how we use that information then to provide some of our ELL services. And the other speaker will be our new district nurse, Rachel Fitch, who will cover everything from head lice to fevers to when you should keep your child home from school and when you should send them.
Both of those.
What?
Both of those.
So, we hope to have a great attendance that meeting.
Greetings from North and Happy New Year. The kids were definitely geared up coming back into the school today. I think I mentioned at our last meeting, we had a sensory path installed in our back hallway at North. And it's about a 50-foot length of hallway that Mr. Keller and Mr. Gary stripped all the wax off to put these stickers down all the way to the terrazzo and then put 10 coats of wax over the top of it. And so it's if you have a moment, stop into North. It's the kids were really amped up about it as they came in the building at the beginning of the day, and so were the teachers. Dave Rebar wrote a grant for it, and like I said, Mr. Keller and Mr. Gary putting in all the extra work to get it installed, and I don't think those stickers are going anywhere for a long time. They are in there, and it's very shiny. It looks great. The kids are all over it today. They also had a new fixture on the playground, a big new pile of snow out there, so they were pretty amped up about that as well.
How much was that?
0. Well, might have been a cost to get it there. Arts and Academic Night at North, my favorite evening of the year. It's coming up on February 3rd. Just a reminder, that's the evening we have like hobbies on display. It's the official Science Fair, Regional Science Fair qualifier. Also, students sign up to perform, sing, dance, play piano, put works of art on display. So that's coming up here real quick. I want to thank Ms. Steele and Ms. Malls for putting that together every year. They do a great job advertising it. We get a lot of students signed up for that. All of that is just voluntary. The students do not have to do it, but there's a good number of students that do it every year. So it's my favorite evening of the year by far. Also want to let you know, after a couple of years off here, we have Continental Math that's back in action. Mr. Lenhoff is coaching this year, and he has a good group of students that hang out after school, and they study for a math competition that occurs various times a year. These students did have to qualify through screenings and a need to just be math masters, if you will, and it's kind of the prereq to getting to the math masters program at the middle school. So we'll see how they do. We'll see how the North kids do versus students in the region and math skills. And then also MSU theater students are going to come on January 21st. That's kind of the a little way to get students thinking about performing in our spring play. So the MSU students come, do a great job every year, and then students think like, hey, maybe I could do that and put together a spring play every year. So we're looking forward to that.
This month's advisory theme is the E in Saints Pride, which is empathy. So students in the 5th and 6th grade will be discussing empathy, what it looks like, how you show it, and what I'm excited about will be implementing peace circles, which is a strategy that we'll use hopefully throughout the building in terms of some conflict resolution, restorative practice strategy. Auditions for our first ever musical will be on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. They are doing How to Be Minnesotan.
You get the Lutheran church ladies as a part of that, or?
So it's going to be awesome under
Sounds
the
pretty
direction
good.
of Angie Schill.
Not too bad.
Should be
When do
good.
tickets go on sale?
What's that?
When do the tickets go on sale?
Well, there won't be any tickets. Just show up. And it's scheduled for March 6th, Friday, March 6th. Hopefully we fill up the auditorium so the following year we have to do it out at the high school.
Right.
It's going to be so
Kick
many
you guys out.
accents.
And then the last update, our student council has been working hard. They meet once again on Wednesday of this week to plan our winter dance, which is not a formal, but it's just a winter dance, which is scheduled for February 7th. So we intend to have 2 dances like we've had in the past, one in the winter and then one in the spring. In each event, we have 2 separate dances, one for 5th and 6th grade because they like to more run around and play tag, and one for the 7th and 8th graders because they like to move. So that's coming kind of like this.
Exactly like.
It's a tough act to follow. I just want to also mention again, Alex mentioned the Cambria Cares program, and they are helping to fund the Escape the Vape campaign that's kicking off on Thursday during Saints time at the high school. And our Project for Teens kids are helping organize that and getting everything planned and ready to go. And thank you to Shay Rohr-Cassie and Kelly Jensen, our staff members who have been helping a lot with that. We also are starting, for those of you who have had kids come through, it seems earlier than usual, but our NHS Faculty Advisory Committee is working already and interviewing our applicants for NHS, which usually, I suppose that we've been doing this for the last couple of years, but the interview was an addition in the last couple of years, as well as those who are accepted into it also are, they're not official members yet, but they also have to put in a certain number of service hours between now and when they would be inducted into the NHS. Just a little bit more skin in the game on the service component of NHS before they're actually officially members. So I really want to thank Jana Sikora for her work as that NHS advisor and getting kids involved and working toward that goal of being a member.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Superintendent Olson.
I just want to mention, I had an opportunity, I think last Friday, to send out to you information and a schedule for the Minnesota School Boards Association Leadership Conference, scheduled for January 15th through the 17th. Mrs. Stewie and Dr. Soderlund will be in contact in the next few days to determine what time we're going to need to leave to get to the Hilton Hotel by 8:30 on Wednesday, the 15th.
Yeah, I'd start there.
You guys know about that
Oh, yeah.
probably, so I don't know that there's any quick way or easy way to get to
35W is
downtown.
not going to be quick, no.
So we're going to have to figure
Yeah,
that out,
helicopter
and
maybe.
then we'll need to move from the Hilton parking to from the Hyatt parking to the Hilton parking so we can get registered, and then we'll be ready to meet up with the rest of the board and attend that conference on the 16th and 17th of January. And I think you'll find that it's a really outstanding board development opportunity for you. That's it.
All right. Board members, Director Hager.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just excited to be here.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Soderlund, for your donation. Appreciate it. And congratulations to both Tracy and Bill. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being interested in the board and running, and we appreciate it so much. And Vice Chair Lokensgaard, thank you for running again.
Thank
Even
you for
after
running.
having 4 years. And I want to thank Dr. Soderlund as well, and I want to thank the paras. And I've been on the school board for 12 years, and there are quite a few paras who have been here at least as long as that. And they put in a lot of work, as Dr. Soderlund so eloquently said. So thank you for that. And thank you for choosing me as chair this year. And I think Mark, in the 12 years I was on the board, made it look so easy, and it seems sort of like driving a car. Like you get driven around for 16 years, and you're like, well, this doesn't look too hard. And then you're in the driver's seat thinking, how is this legally okay? Just gonna try not to hit anybody for a few months, and maybe it'll get better. So I appreciate it. We have some upcoming meetings, as we mentioned, lots of them. Special board meeting this Thursday, January 9th at 6:30 in the Media Center at the middle school. As Dr. Olson mentioned, MSBA Winter Conference, January 15th through 17th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Finance Committee meeting, Friday, January 24th at 7:30 a.m. in the district office. Personnel Committee meeting, Tuesday, January 28th at 7:30 a.m. in the district office. Special board meeting, Monday, February 3rd at 6:30 p.m. and probably middle school. And then in the Media Center, Personnel Committee meeting, Friday, February 7th, 7:30 a.m. in the district office. I had an opportunity to visit with former Superintendent Peterson, and he was I said, yeah, we don't have to meet at 7 in the morning anymore. What are you talking about? Regular board meeting, Thursday, February 20th at 6:30 PM in the governor's room here in the community center. And with that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Awesome. That is a non-debatable motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Annette.
Basket.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even